Justin, welcome in. How are you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. We've got an awesome slate of sports to dive into. I mean, NBA, NHL, NFL, college football, baseball, even. I mean, we have everything going on right now. This is like,
It's
not to
true.
be crude or gross, but it's kind of like a sports fan's wet dream, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's I saw someone call it a sports equinox. So
I like that. That's much classier. Let's go with that.
yeah, it really is kind of, or to use a term affectionate to this show, almost a bit of a sports white whale of sorts
Oh, it's just perfect. I mean,
with everything going on. It's
there's
great.
like a couple times I think you could argue that that stretch, right around like when the NCAA tournament and as its playoff competition is heating up in the NBA and NHL, like I do love that time of year, but there's just something about right now and having everything. Like if you want to tune into the NBA, you can. We're, coming up from 10 days from also having college basketball in the mix as well. And I'm actually looking forward to coming on with you, sometime in the near future and kind of diving into some of that, once they get some of those futures bets up. But I'm pumped for this weekend because there's a fun slate of college football and there's some games that really matter.
Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing. Last year, we made a ton of money working together on a phenomenal DraftKings prop on getting the college football playoffs. As we get closer, it almost becomes like a 2-game parlay for the 4 finalists, like an 8-game parlay. But I mean, when they're anywhere between minus 500 or more favorites, and you have a track record of years over time, that's where you get some intrigue. Speaking of futures, before we jumped into our big threes, the Avs, I kind of called this, that like stay patient, because the Avs are going to have this stretch where, just with all that's going on, injury, suspensions, all this stuff, Darcy Kemper trying to get in a groove with his new team, and just dealing with the lack of depth and other guys having to step up. Like it's a different team, that you were going to gain some value on Avs futures. That has jumped all the way to plus 550. I think all summer it was in the plus 4 to 450s. I think as recently as the start of the season, it was at plus 450 just last night before the game against the Panthers, plus 500. Now you're getting at plus 550. Reminder, the Panthers, an extraordinary team, a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals, loaded with talent, top to bottom, one of the elite teams in the NHL. So on the road, 5 p.m., I was kind of saying it on yesterday's show, the Panthers were a great value bet. I wouldn't panic on the Avs, but I don't think this future is going to dip much further. I think now might be the time to jump.
Yeah, I mean, I will say they still got Tampa Bay coming up, and
On
this
Saturday,
is
yeah.
an East Coast stretch
Yeah.
that historically is just not that kind to the Avalanche. So I don't think there's any reason to panic. It was just kind of a brutal way to start the season. I think anybody that follows the Nuggets and the Avalanche from a year to year basis, they know about this East Coast trip. It always happens for both of them. They always go out there, they get their butts kicked, they look lethargic. I don't know if it's just the travel, what the deal is. And then when all those teams come back to Denver, you know, they get them back and you end up splitting the series against the Bostons and Canadian teams and New York's, DC's of the world. In hockey, it tends to be more Florida. The Nuggets have a little more success in Florida than the Avs do, but yeah, I think now is the moment. It's when the value is as good as it's going to get. Throw 10, $20 on there and just have fun this season. Obviously, if you have the funds to go more, go for it. But, it's just one of those, it's fun to root for your favorite team and know that when you're betting on them, yes, it's with your heart, but knowing like there's actually some basis to this. They are the favorite, it's not a long shot bet or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just fun. And also, I'd rather bet on a team that's not going to play its best hockey in the regular season. That's kind of
another great
formula
point.
here.
Yeah.
Let's get into the big three. I believe Yahir is back, so you love to see that. Let's start with you, Justin. You've been killing it on the college football front. You've been killing it back to the summer when we had you on. What are you feeling going into this loaded weekend of NFL and college football?
Yeah, there's some weird. I mean, you got a lot of teams on buys in the NFL. There are some lines, and we'll get into them that kind of intrigue me
Yes.
a little bit.
Yes.
But with my big three, I try and stick in college football just because that's what I watch the most. It's what I study the most. I feel like I know the teams the best. And there's kind of some wonky ones. I know you're not a huge proponent of going over under on the big three, and it can, it can kind of screw you. But
Sure.
starting with Oklahoma State at Iowa State, excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over at 47. It's only minus 110. Big 12 games, man. You every now and then you get kind of screwed on this where they have the rare low scoring game.
Right.
But Big 12 games going over 50 points is almost a lock. Both of these defenses can play, so it worries me a little bit, but both of them can run the football. I think both teams scoring 24 points plus feels like a lock. I really like the value there. And so I'm hunting the over in that one. And it's just not as absurd. Some of the other ones, if you're looking at like an Oklahoma game, it's going to be like 62, 63 points. And that's a lot to count on.
Yeah.
50 points in a Big 12 game. I like that. Going the complete opposite direction, though, CU at Cal. I'm taking the under. This goes against every principle I have, taking like an under 45 because it just makes the entire game so nerve-wracking. Like you're sweating every single play, every moment. But neither of these offenses have been good this year. And it's two defenses that are, pretty stout, at least, all things considered. Really, it's where they make their identity. I love the under here. I think CU's offense comes back to life after a kind of a fluky showing against the worst team in football last week. And I don't see Cal throwing a ton of points against this Buffs defense. They still are, really solid. They get after the QB. I love the under here. And then the last one, and this one makes me a little nervous because you're going up against that triple option offense, and I almost took the over under in this as well because it's only set at 39 points. Two teams that really run the football. I understand where Vegas is thinking, but it's also two teams that break big runs. It's not like a grind it out, go for 4 yards a pop all day. It's two teams that can have a drive where it's like 4 runs and a couple of them go for 15, 20 at a time. San Diego State, they've been a little shaky these last couple of weeks. They are on the road. I just really like the value. I think defensively, they are more stout than Air Force. Obviously, you have to stop that offense, and Air Force's offense has been awesome this year. But San Diego State's moved the ball a little bit better than years past as well. And I'm really looking forward to that matchup.
Love it. They'll love to see that comment from our guy.
It's not nice.
No. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. We had a great draft pod, though, talking about coaching candidates from the college ranks. There's lots to get into.
You don't have to dwell. There's things to be excited about.
There
ultimately, as frustrating as this season is, there's plenty. And betting, college football, the NFL draft, we're going to focus on all of it. So let's keep the mood up.
I'm intrigued by this big three, though. It's all about Arch Manning in 2025, by the way, Zach. So you don't have to wait till 2034. I like the big three. I'm actually just going to wait to get into every game you touch down. I find very intriguing, even from a spread standpoint.
And I definitely considered flirting with all those, and I'm going to sprinkle San Diego State's +3. I love that. We'll get into it though, because I put that in my parlay.
Well, and then it's that rare slate where there are multiple ranked teams that are underdogs to unranked teams. Iowa State is a favorite to number 8 Oklahoma State. You have Purdue, number 25, an underdog at home to Wisconsin, who has not looked good. You have Oregon, number 10, an
Wait,
underdog.
Did you say Purdue's
to
a home dog to Wisconsin?
+3.5, baby.
Oh, I love that. Wisconsin can't do anything. And how they haven't, I mean, I know they run the ball well historically, but they haven't done it this year. They can't throw the football. And Purdue's got a great front seven.
And they're coming off a massive win. That's probably where
the letdown comes in. Though.
They are at home, though. Which is huge. And then you touched on this. This is obviously going to be the one you're most dialed in on. San Diego State, number 22 ranked in the country, an underdog to Air Force. So all of those, I used to, as a youngster, jump on those every chance I had and go with the ranked team. But, as I've learned, Vegas knows more than you. When you see that, antennas need to go up and you need to dial it in. So stay tuned because we're going to get more on Justin on the college football front. I've got you covered on the NFL. So let's get into the big three with that. Obviously, we'll have more picks Sunday morning with the tailgate and stuff. Everyone loves a low number is one of the touchstones of this show, Justin. Everyone, by that reverse logic, hates a high number. Derrick Henry's rushing yard set at 122.5 against the Chiefs. Chiefs, a bottom 10 team in the NFL defending the run. And that's when they're only allowing 18 rush attempts per game because they're usually milking a lead in some of these games. Tennessee, I think, will keep them close. Tennessee will not go away from the run game. Derrick Henry is absolutely in rare form. And the fact that this is set this high tells you everything you need to know about what Vegas thinks
I love
Derrick
that.
Henry is going to do. So jump on the high number. Don't be shy. And yeah, I think he could clear 200, and touchdown props would be intriguing. Also in that same game, I think Darrell Williams to score a touchdown at -105 anytime is a lock with Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now. That's a potent offense, and Williams to get tuds when they're down in the red zone is going to be automatic. Ricky Seals-Jones, the very talented but still raw tight end for the Washington football team. He only saw 4 targets the first 2 games of the season. He's now seen 14 in the last 2. He has cleared 38.5 receiving yards. Both those games, they're facing the Packers, who are allowing 50 yards per game to tight ends, another kind of bottom half unit. And I think Heineke's going to, I think Heineke's going to go after that hard. All these guys are top plays in daily fantasy, which is something I try to rely on for NFL props every week. And then New England -6.5 taking on the Jets, hosting the Jets at home. Forget what these teams have looked like this season. Based off the preseason expectations for these two teams, this would have been using DraftKings' own preseason win totals. New England should have been a 10-point favorite with how they're performing on a yard per play basis, on a point differential basis. That stands true. 6.5. Yeah, I get it. They're not the most potent offense there in New England, but I think they're starting to figure some things out. We saw that in that high-scoring game against the Cowboys last week. Come on, it's Belichick against the rookie quarterback with the rookie being on the road. This is going to be murder central. We saw a lot of those.
Focus on that. It's Belichick at home against a rookie quarterback.
Exactly.
Do you think he will win by a touchdown? 9.999 times out of 10. Yes.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I would be very scared at 7, 6.5. It's automatic. You just pounce. Because that really is the question. Buy a touchdown rookie quarterback. It could be Cam Newton, Brian Hoyer at quarterback for the Patriots. I don't care. It's happening against the Jets. This guy owns the Jets. He owns rookie quarterbacks. Boom, automatic. So there's my big three. And yeah, I saw the over-under for how long this show is going to be set at 30.5 minutes. I think that's a really well set line, frankly. So we're going to get into it and go right to the next segment and get our parlays in. Nuggets have a big game. I've got an SGP fully cooked. We talked about some Avs futures. We can get into anything else. But first, our friends at DraftKings, #1 sportsbook in all the land. There you go. I mean, where could you find a better endorsement than that? Yeah, it's the best. Right now, do you know what new users get, Justin? This isn't a rhetorical question. I know you do this read more often than I do.
I do know if you bet on an NFL game, $5, you can get $200 in free bets if your team wins.
Whoa.
I mean, there is some awesome opportunity. We just talked about it. We just gave you one. If you're a new user, take the Patriots. You don't even have to take them to cover. Just take the money line against a rookie quarterback. Make yourself $195 free dollars. Play with those bets and just build that account up. That's right. DraftKings gives you an opportunity right off the bat to have some fun, to build it up. Nobody does it better.
It's true. And now a lot of us who aren't new users have a bunch of free bets in the account. We're going to talk a bunch of weekend parlays, SGPs, all that fun stuff. You know, it's the fall, it's sports equinox. There is endless just stuff to bet on constantly. So I really don't know what you're doing. They're the best. The app's great. The customer service is otherworldly. They've added all these cool features. You can find bets across the board. So yeah, I genuinely I would get in on it, because even our draft pod today, we're talking about coaching candidates. I'm looking at the Raiders' next head coach props. I'm looking at first overall pick props. If you're a sports fan, you just got to get in. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only for those deals that Justin was breaking down for you. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 and use that code DNVR. Damn it. Also, if you're on YouTube, give us the old thumbs up. If you're on Twitter, go on YouTube, because it's always better, and give us the old thumbs up. Join the chat as well. Let's start Nuggets SGP. Just get this one out the way, like they do on cooking shows. You know, we show you how to make the cake, and then the magic of editing, we fast forward, and boom, I'm bringing the cake out of the oven with a pre-cooked SGP. Nuggets hosting the Spurs tonight. I've got a 6-pick SGP. Nuggets money line, overwhelming favorites. You love how they looked. Pop always concerning, but these Spurs just,
they're just not talented. Like they don't.
No,
I like a couple of their young guards, but that's Lonnie Walker is like a bit of a stretch. So
yeah, exactly. Not exactly someone who terrifies you. So with that in mind, I think Aaron Gordon, they're going to keep giving him the ball. I was very encouraged by the first game. 9.5 points, going over that. Michael Porter Jr., 2+ threes made. Love that one. Usually Jokic, we have a maxim on this show of if it's a single team him, you go points. If it's a double team him, you go assist. I'm going 5+ assists. Yes, the Spurs have Jakob Poeltl and will try to single Jokic, but that's such a mismatch that I think you will see plenty of doubles, and Jokic will get the assist out. Just for funsies, I put Aaron Gordon 12+ points plus assists combined, and Facu 1+ rebound. Facu, very active point guard, always gets those rebounds. 6 picks plus 205, kind of a safe men's. There you go. Get in on that. Do you approve, Justin? Any of those you don't like?
No, I love all those. I was just kind of glancing at a couple other ones. I wanted to see what Monte Morris's assist total was, because I think him running the point is always a safe bet. But I love that you did the Aaron Gordon stuff, because he's just an effort guy. And if he gets a couple of offensive rebounds, easy putbacks, you're, 20, 40% of the way there at that point. I feel like this is money. And I am going to do money line on the Nuggets tonight, but this is a big thing for me. I've decided when it comes to same game parlays, unless I'm really confident on my hometown teams, I'm just going to do what you do. I'm just going to mine for some of these, numbers. I'm not going to necessarily take the money line, guarantee him to win or anything. It's just, do I think MPJ can hit 2 threes tonight? Yes. Do I think, Jokic can get 5 assists tonight? Win or lose, you're safe. Shout out DraftKings. This function is so fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. Zach, hit us up in the chat. Let me know what are the 3 NBA boosts you're seeing. I'm just seeing the
That's what. Yeah, I was trying to pull it up. I didn't see that.
The same game parlay protection, but you never know. The app is so vast. I went into the promo section too, but straight me out. Also, I would love for the chat to give me their favorite straight up dog in the NFL this week. But before we get into any other NFL picks, let's talk about those different spreads I teased for you. And then I want your opinion on our which side are you on college football pick'em game that Ryan and I are doing now, which is fun as well, because our listeners, it's a game between Ryan and I, but they should be able to have some insights on what to bet. But let's go to all those games I teased earlier of the non-ranked home dogs versus ranked teams. We start with Iowa State -7 hosting Oklahoma State. What's your read on that, man?
This is the reason I took the over is I like both offenses to score points, but I don't know who I trust more in this game because I like Matt Campbell. I respect what he's built there.
Yeah, the Iowa
But
State.
I don't really trust that offense. And whenever they've had to
Right.
go against good defenses, like Iowa ate their lunch money this year, and that was in Iowa State.
Yeah.
I like Oklahoma State to cover that 7-point spread. I'd honestly be tempted to take them in the money line. I think there's slip-up games coming. I think it's probably going to be on the road at West Virginia before that OU game. Excuse me.
Right.
But
Yeah, West Virginia, always one of the toughest road spots in the Big 12, no doubt. But, honestly, like, Iowa State's not that much easier to travel to for all these Texas and Oklahoma squads either.
No, it's not. I mean, they've been them in Kansas State. They're the thorns in everybody's side, especially when they're at home. Yeah, I don't know. I lean Oklahoma State in this one, and you can get the money line at +210, but I would definitely take him to cover the 7-point spread.
That's the thing. I think it's more of a pick 'em, and I think Oklahoma State's more talented.
I do too, and I just think if they're more talented and there's better value, and so I lean with that over home field advantage.
Oh boy, I'm worried these are all cheese. Purdue, you also like the ranked dog. You kind of broke that down for us. They're at least
I like all three of them.
Ranked dog. So yeah. Can you believe Pitt is favored at home against Clemson? -3.
I can based on how this season has played out, but if you would have told me that coming into this season, I would have bet any amount of money you threw at me in terms of all I have to say is Clemson's going to be favored against Pitt. Sure. This is the Kenny Pickett game, right? Like his draft stock is kind of rising, his national attention, some people are kind of floating him in the Heisman conversation. I think that's a little bit premature, but if he wants to be one of those guys, this is the game you got to win. Pitt's been awesome this year. They've been really competitive and he's played pretty well, but this also feels like the classic letdown territory where even though Clemson's down, I still think the talent level is still superior to Pitt, and I'd probably rock with them.
And so you like Oregon +1. I like Oregon as well. That's on the which side are you on? That was the side I picked, even when Oregon was +2.5. Now they're just +1. I just think that defense is better. I mean, I know they've been injured, and as Hank pointed out to us, Anthony Brown at quarterback's the real concern here.
Yeah, but they can run the football well, and their defense is more trustworthy than UCLA's. And
yeah, they're both kind of one-dimensional.
I'm just kind of out on UCLA. Everybody, I mean, I know they had that LSU win, but that doesn't look like much after. I mean, going on the road and winning at LSU is a big deal no matter what, but.
Right. Yeah.
I definitely lean Oregon.
Love it. And Air Force, San Diego State. It's your pick, San Diego State. So you think Air Force is being overrated here, huh?
No, I think they're being respected. I just think San Diego State's being underrated because they're coming off of a down game against San Jose State. It was a late night kickoff in a weird, empty stadium.
That spread had my spidey senses tingling because it was like San Diego State was less of a fave to San Jose State than the Rams were, man. It didn't make sense. No, that might be an exaggeration, but we were in that ballpark,
No, I think you're spot. I think it was basically the same, but yeah, I mean, it was just weird circumstances. All those games and those empty Hawaii, San Diego State right now, they're all kind of having to deal with it because they're in transition as they get new stadiums built, and it just leads to some wacky results. The one thing that really interests me in this game is the over-under is only set at 39. I know it's because both of these teams run the football, but like I said, they are prone to break out big runs. And games in the academy are a lot more high scoring than people give them credit for. It's a lot more shootouts than in Army or Navy. I really like the over.
Since we're on the academies, I think there are two games with Army and Navy that are really intriguing this week. What do you think of the under 48.5 with Cincinnati going to Navy.
I like that because I don't see how Navy's going to score on
Yes.
Cincinnati.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I also don't see Cincinnati throwing like 60 on the board. It just kind of feels like a game they're going to win handily,
30-10,
34
right?
to 7 or something, like
Yeah.
that. Like it'll be firmly in control. But I definitely lean the under there.
And then finally, number 16, Wake Forest, the only the lowest ranked Power 5 undefeated team. They go to West Point to take on Army. Army plus 135 on the money line. Intrigued at all?
I wish you had better value there.
I know.
I know they're at home. If it was more like plus 200, I'd be all over it. I do think that Wake Forest is better. Danny Canal had them in his top 4 because he's like they're an undefeated Power 5 team, which I'm not even going to get into that. That's fucking absurd. But I will say it's the perfect trap game opportunity. But every time I take Army in these, like, oh, here's the sneaky chance for them to upset the team, they lose by like 3 scores. And I'm like, I shouldn't have believed in this team. So I think that
fair.
I don't love what Army's got going offensively, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points.
They do get a smidge overrated because they are literally America's team.
Great home field advantage, though. I mean, you get the recruits, and so like if they can get up early, that's the recipe for success, right? Like get up 10-0 or something like that, and then just lean on the run game.
Totally, for sure. And let's finish with the local games. Rams favorites on the road, and Buffs 8.5-point dogs taking on Cal. You gave us your take on the total for that Buffs game.
I don't love the spread in either of these games.
Yeah, feels
8.5 feels
right. Yeah,
like I don't know. I just don't trust CU's offense enough to count on them to cover anything.
Totally.
And I do believe in this CSU team, but going to Logan is deceptively one of the tougher places to play. The students are right on top of the field. They play great at home. If you're going to take anything, CSU to be leading by a point in the first quarter, the first quarter spread is minus half a point for CSU. I like that. You can get that at plus 100. I like that a lot more than I do the over under, the spread, any of it, just because you never know. Like CSU and Utah State are always great games. I think it's going to be tight, and that makes me nervous, throwing out a money line. But I do like the Rams to play well in this one. I think they should win, knock on wood. But I like that first quarter spread more than anything. And I like the under probably in both games. But what worries me with this Utah State one is they are explosive and they can hit you over the top. So they only need a couple of plays to really, really screw you on that. But I like the under in the CU game, and I like CSU to cover that first quarter spread.
Love it. Straight up dogs in the NFL. I think our choices are going to be limited. I'm actually going to reach out to Ryan to get his all dogs at some point and give you guys that Sunday morning. I think the
I'll
Eagles.
Give you mine.
I think
Tennessee,
the Eagles
baby,
intriguing.
they're taking the Chiefs down.
Man, it does feel like Vrabel has figured some things out defensively.
I will say, I hate Mahomes and the Chiefs. I do think offensively they figured it out. It's just they're so terrible defensively. With what really we've seen from Derrick Henry, why would anyone think the Chiefs are going to stop? I mean, the counter is Henry could go for 240 and 4 touchdowns, and Mahomes could throw 5 because the Titans defense is nothing special either. But they have been better these last couple of weeks. It seems like they're dialing up pressure. That's kind of the recipe for success against the Chiefs, is you can kind of get in Mahomes' face a little bit. And I like Tennessee. You were talking about the Eagles, though. We can get into that one too.
Eagles, I just think they've got some speed, and Jalen Hurts is that quarterback who, against mediocre defenses, can do stuff. Against good defenses is going to be kind of limited. And yeah, I just think they'll kind of be ready for this game against the Raiders. I think the Bengals will be a popular one.
That's a track. That feels like
Still
cheese to me.
So. Yeah. And they're the overhits. Yeah, it does feel like cheese. I know. And the slate was very fruitful with dogs early on, and now we're down to just a couple straight
Favorites have
up
been
dogs.
feasting these last 3 weeks. I saw a thing that was like, it was like 14 of 16 games or something 2 weeks ago.
Well, we're starting to see massive spreads, and like that 11 a.m. slate last week sucked. Like
When
every game
London
on Red
games,
Zone was
I'm never
awful.
gonna bet on the London game
Totally.
again.
Well, the other straight up dog would be in the game that should be in London, the Miami Atlanta game. It's hard to trust.
I don't know what to do with this Dolphins team, man. I think they have more talent than Atlanta does, but I think Atlanta's playing a lot better and at least has established an identity of what they want to do offensively.
I didn't used to be this kind of guy, but there are some coaches you just see their body language on the sideline, and it's like, wow. And I'm not here to comment on what you see on the Broncos sidelines right now, but Arthur Smith is always like he's waiting on a snack and like he's wondering if someone forgot to bring it to him or something. He just is he gives zero confidence on the sideline. I think I
totally agree with you there.
Bust.
Flores, though, is probably coming off of one of the worst coaching performances of the whole season. So not a lot of faith there.
It's fair enough. They should be 0-6.
These teams. This is a stay away for me, just because you don't know what you're getting with either of these teams.
Totally. So it's almost like a not too dissimilar to the Iowa State, Oklahoma State, where it's like, it's a toss up. So I guess I'll go on the value side.
Exactly.
Which is almost crappy Miami Dolphins, but whatever.
Like if you're just looking for, that's true. That's true. It's a home dog, and there's value there.
Yeah.
If you were gonna sprinkle an underdog, maybe the Giants against the Panthers. It's plus 130 right now. They are at home though, so I mean, keeping it on the home dog, and we haven't seen anything out of this Carolina offense. But it also feels like the Giants, they're competitive, and then all of a sudden they give up 28 points in like 10 minutes, and they're down 3 scores. Like what just happened?
Yeah, and the skill player injuries just are not ending anytime soon. With Kadarius Toney out now too, and I was seeing a few more injuries coming down the pipe. So, probably great question from Kenny on the Tennessee Bama game. I didn't even look at the total spread. I'll get that for you in a sec. With Bama, we're all about the first half spreads though. That has the Tide at minus 14.5. Thoughts?
I like the first half spread, but Tennessee's. I've lost betting against Tennessee 3 out of 5 weeks. I'm pretty sure. So I don't love the spread in this. I like the over better. It's a lot of points. It's like 68 or something like that.
68.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I do like the over because I think Tennessee will score a little bit, and I think Bama will score, but that's a lot of points to count on. It's probably a stay away game from a betting perspective, unless you can get some value. It might be a good one to live bet. Like if Tennessee goes up early, jump on Bama when the value gets a little bit better, or vice versa.
Yeah. Honestly, the hook scares me on all of those.
I didn't bet on it. This is the first Bama game this season that I'm staying away from completely.
And I have very little read on Tennessee. I haven't watched them enough, but as a bettor, I feel like I've been on the wrong side with them more often than not. So I just got to study up. Phenomenal. Thank you, Justin. There you go. There's lots of picks. I would say let's put together a 5-legger for the college.
Okay.
I just say put your big 3 in there. That's a nice, base layer. And then what were you loving here that I was throwing out there?
I like the Oregon money line at plus 100.
Beautiful.
And I like
Purdue. You were really high on Purdue.
I like Purdue at home, or I would throw out the CSU first quarter spread just because you can get it at plus 105 and they only have to be up by 1. They've been really good in the first quarters of games. It's kind of the games they've struggled in. It's been the second and third quarters that have kind of been their issue. Or tough one, but Nevada at Fresno State. I like the over in that one. I got to pull up the line again, but Hayner
That
versus
sounds
Carson
fun.
Strong. Like,
Yeah.
it should be a fun one. You can get Nevada
65.
plus. Yeah, it's a ton of points.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love
Nevada
that.
at plus 150, sneaky, man. I love Fresno State, and they've kind of been the Cinderella team of the Mountain West, but I still think Nevada's the best team in the conference.
Interesting. Okay, love it. There you go. There's you give like a 4-legger with a choose your own adventure 5th leg.
Yeah, throw it in. We gave you
Lots of
enough to
options.
pick, put it together.
No doubt. Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Check out Justin's post-game show after the Rams games tonight. Check out the Tailgate Sunday morning. Lots of other phenomenal content coming to you from DNVR, all platforms, all weekend, with tons of games going on. So enjoy and best luck on your bets.